astronauts, it's me, Brandy, and welcome back to Astro-Tarot Research. Today's pick a card is how do women view you? So as usual, we have 5 piles to choose from, but before we get started, I do want to remind you to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that bell to stay notified of future readings. You can also follow me on Instagram at Astro_Tarot Research, and links to other social medias can be found below. Now let us get into these piles. We have pile number 1, pile number 2, pile number 3, pile number 4, and pile number 5. So let's not waste any more time and just sit back, relax, and choose. All right, pile number 1, let's get started on how women view you. We have the 5 of Pentacles, we have the Moon, we have the 5 of Cups, we have the Moon again, we have the King of Wands, and we have Uttara Ashara. That's interesting how we have the Moon twice going on here. What is happening? All right. Because we have these 2 5s and the Moon coming up twice, it lets me know, and I don't want anyone to take offense to this, but you know, 5s do have to do with conflict, and the Moon can be very wishy-washy. So the feeling that I'm getting from this is that a lot of women view you as someone who may doubt themselves, or it could even just be in the past that they're thinking about this. But either in the past they feel like you've doubted yourself, or currently they feel like you're somebody who has a lot of self-doubt and who may not think as highly as themselves as they should. Now, like I said, it doesn't have to be current. It could just be like women you've met along the way, and maybe they have this past version of you, and so they don't know the you today. But what I'm getting with these cards is that comes up quite a bit, because the Moon is a card of, you know, instability, you know, a lot of anxiety, a lot of fears, a lot of different mood swings and emotional intensity. The Moon is not like a stable figure, and neither are 5s. 5s are not stable positions. 5s are positions of conflict, and conflict is a position of change. So there's a lot of changeability to you and your persona or personality, or things that are going on in your life. Maybe you just have a life that feels like there's always some sort of challenge that's happening, and they see that. They're like, wow, this person's going through a very challenging period. Now, like I said, like that could be their perception of you. It may not be your personality. It could just be like, oh, this person looks like they're going through a really tough time right now. Or this person looks like they're going through a time where there's a lot of confusion happening, or a lot of fears that are going through, or a lot of changeability is happening. So that's another way that women seem to be viewing you. Now, for those who, you know, can't relate to that part where they feel like, oh, I'm not self-doubting myself, I'm actually a confident person. Well, the cards are saying that they may have viewed you like that in the past, but then they see your confidence is growing. For those of you who are currently in the stages of having a lot of self-doubt, or having a lot of transformation and changeability going on in your life right now, where things just feel so uncertain, what they're seeing and how the women view you is they feel like you're going to come out on top of things, that you're eventually going to blossom into this very graceful, respectable, courageous, take charge person. They just feel like, oh, this is temporary. So for both ways, people are seeing that potential to be very, I don't know if I want to use the word strong, but very confident, and very much, you know, this is me, this is who I am. Like they see that coming if it's not already there, okay? They just say, you know what, this person's going through some stuff. A lot of things seem to be happening around them. A lot of things just feel like that they aren't ideal, and they feel like that you may be in a place that you don't want to be in, that there's a lot of disappointing things that are currently around you, but it's just a period that you're going through, and that you are going to rise above and become this person who is able to resist all of these difficult circumstances. And I think that, to me, connects to the nakshatra Uttara Ashada here. One person I know who has Uttara Ashada that really kind of captures that very confident, graceful-like energy is Michelle Obama. She has her son in Uttara Ashada. And even she herself, you know, says that she's gone through challenging periods, not where she doubted herself, but where she had been, you know, attacked in the media, kind of labeled the angry black woman, you know, Obama's baby mama. Like, you know, she had all these labels thrown at her, and she had to, you know, keep her head up and keep going and almost kind of present herself as being this, you know, flawless, maybe perfect person, or a person who is at least projecting themselves to be like, hey, I can withstand this. I can go through this. She's not, you know, over here crying on camera. She didn't have that luxury to be vulnerable, else she would have been seen as weak. So that's something that people see. They see you as somebody who has that power within them to go after what they want, to be a person who doesn't let circumstances get them down, who can, you know, rise like a phoenix from the ashes, who can, you know, I don't know if ignore is the right word, but to not take the haters to heart. They see all that within you. They feel like, you know, other people could possibly be, maybe not other people painting you a negative light, but because that's not really what's happening here. It's more like, for me, this feels more circumstantial, like you're going through something, or like I said, it could be more self-doubt, but they feel like, you know, there's a light at the end of the tunnel for you, and they see all of these good characteristics that you have of being somebody who is ambitious, who is goal-oriented, who shines, who encourages others, who can be inspirational. I think what this comes down to is this: people kind of wish that that you saw that light more within yourself. And I think that's what this reading is saying, is they feel like you're this person who has a good, strong fire within you to ignite change, to inspire others, to be somebody who stands up for things that are unjust or wrong, like Uttara Ashada does. And be that person who calls out, you know, anything that's just not fair or equal or something in the world or something like that. But they feel like you aren't fully seeing your own potential. And that's what the main part of this reading is. I don't really need to like expand too much further on this. This is pretty self-explanatory, at least to me. There's a lot of goodness within you, and a lot of people see it, but they kind of feel like you might be stuck in a dark place for the moment, or just mentally that could be happening right now. So that's what I'm mainly seeing. But overall, a lot of people do see you as somebody who is inspirational to a lot of people and very encouraging, and someone who, even if you get criticism or if you are going through a tough time, they understand that you're somebody who can go through it. Okay? You know what I mean? That's what I really see here. And then also there's a focus on, at least with Uttara Ashada, education. So people also view you as somebody who is very educated and intelligent. And that also comes up with the moon. The moon is a very kind of like a studious planet. It's almost like in astrology, like they said, when the moon is next to something, another planet, it absorbs the energy of that other planet. And it's very true. And the reason for that is because the moon likes to gather, it likes to reflect, it likes to learn, it likes to gain information. So you'll see a lot of scientists, doctors, etc. They'll have very strong moon placements or be very like moon ruled. So they see a lot of intelligence in you as well. And they see you as somebody who's very educated. So that is what I have for you, pile number 1. Somebody who has a great deal of potential, who really wants to, push for a change and something positive in the world. And maybe they feel like you're somebody who has to deal with a lot of BS to do so. And that, like I said, it could be one or the other. It's a general reading, guys, so I'm pulling more cards. It'll probably just, it'll really be useless because it's going to be different depending on the person. But that is what I have for you, pile number 1, and I will see you guys next time. Au revoir. Hey, pile number 2, let's get started on your reading on how women view you. We have the 5 of Wands, the 3 of Wands, the Chariot, the King of Cups, the 5 of Cups, and Anurata. Interesting. Pile number 1 had, 2 5s as well. Okay. 5 of Wands and this other 5 of Cups here lets me know that, other women see you as someone who, faces a lot of different challenges in your life. And it really shows on your personality that you have gone through a lot. Now, from others' perspective, another perspective with this 5 of Wands, I have seen this being represented as someone who can be seen as very combative, or someone who can be very competitive, or someone who can also be a little bit of a hater. So that could be some women viewing you in that manner. That doesn't necessarily mean all women, okay? And it's not for everybody because this is a general reading. But overall, they see you as someone who is a fighter, someone who has to really, really strive and go after what it is that they want in this world. You're someone who they can also see as even struggling with a little bit of confidence, because I've definitely gotten the 5 of Wands to be someone who really is trying to find their way in the world, find their place, find their the way that they connect to themselves. And part of that is part of the confidence building process, especially when it's next to the 3 of Wands, because the 3 of Wands is a very experimental card. So it's kind of like, oh, I'm throwing some things out there and I'm seeing what works for me. And a lot of women will view you in that light, someone who is really trying to just gain traction with who they are in this world. But definitely, without a doubt, a lot of women can see this very, what's the word? Like I said, fighter spirit within you, especially since we have the Chariot here, which is so goal-oriented and focused and trying to pull through the struggles, because these phoenixes, they're supposed to be going separate ways, and it's like your job to pull them together to make sure they go the same direction. And that's representative of not being distracted by the various different challenges that we have in the world, because sometimes life hits you with multiple struggles at once, and that's just a part of life. We all go through different struggles, and people can really see that within you. That's just how people view you, as having that fighter spirit, able to push through those challenges, being very headstrong. That's the key word here with this reading, headstrong. We also have a side of you that is very much creative, especially since we have this King of Cups and the 3 of Wands card here. I get that you are somebody who really likes to share ideas or try new things, or really just dip and dabble in areas that you want to explore or you're unfamiliar with, because Three of Wands has to do with that exploring unknown territories. So they see you as really wanting to go towards the unknown. Maybe you are a little bit of a travel bug. Maybe you're somebody who is just natural, like a leader, and you're like, I'm not going to follow the crowd, I'm going to do my own thing. And that's how people are perceiving you to be, just kind of very different. Someone who is more of a trendsetter than a trend follower. And then we also have you being someone who's more than likely going to keep a smaller circle of friends, because I've just gotten the Three of Wands for that. And when it's next to the Five of Wands, which is a card which can represent someone who, may have some trouble, making friends. That's definitely what I see here. I'm not necessarily say you have trouble making friends, but when I see this combination together, I usually get like small circle of friends, because you never know who's there, who's really got your back and who doesn't, like who has that strong sense of loyalty, who's there to support you, who's not. That's just that combination of cards coming in. And then we have a lot of things going on here where it shows like you may have like a heavy mental load or a heavy mental state, especially when we have Anurata here. Now Anurata is a card that is pretty much, I believe, in the center of Scorpio in Vedic astrology. And Scorpio is representative of the 8th house, the house of crisis, and dealing with, psychological issues and dealing with situations that, go deeper than the surface level here. There's a lot of Anurata people who are really prone to doing a lot of research. That's a pretty common theme amongst people who have Anurata. So if like an actor was Anurata, that's the type of person who would really focus on doing a lot of research for their role, depending on their character. Even if they're not an actor, just in general, that's going to be a person who likes to dig deeper for information. And it could be about their family, could be about different subjects that are not commonly discussed, like certain mental disorders. That would be like a subject that's not commonly discussed, or something along the lines of even just like small facts, like about peanuts, which are legumes or something like that. You know what I mean? Like they may just know different little things like that, just because Anurata is that place that wants to gain insight and gain research. And people feel like when it comes to you, you try to gain as much information on what it is that you are going through mentally and emotionally, and how it connects to you in your life. Like, why do I feel this way? Why do I think this way? Where does this come from? How can I respond in a way that is mature? How can I best communicate my feelings? How can I be someone who is, maybe delicate towards others and explaining subjects? The King of Wands is a very mature like energy. It's not just about caring for yourself and others. It also has to do with, understanding and making connections based off of your emotional reactions, and also being able to engage as well as predict the actions of others, and interactions that you may incur within this life. So instead of getting stuck in a loop or a cycle, you take the moment to pause, reflect, and understand where it is that any sort of emotional baggage is coming from. And everyone pretty much has some sort of emotional baggage, or maybe a pattern of response that they have within their life. And not everyone knows where it's coming from. But with this King of Cups here, it kind of lets me know that because you do so much reflection on the past and the happenings that have gone on in your life, that you are able to use that ability to the best of your knowledge. Okay, so you take that knowledge and you put it into practice. I will say though, with the Five of Cups here, this can indicate a sense of a little bit of a gloominess to you. So people may feel like that you may have some times where you really kind of are in a state of mind where you really need some moral support, or you're in a place of just heavy mental distress, or maybe that you can see things as, you know, the glass half empty. And that's something that some women may see in you, but they do see that you are fighting within yourself to, you know, be happy and to really try to do things that put you in a better emotional state. For sure. And that was a common thing that I see quite frequently among Honorata. They have to quite often tell themselves, hey, let me do something to make me happy. Let me do something to enjoy my day. And so people may see, you know, that fight within you. And the Five of Wands may not even be combative with other people. This could just be representing your own mental kind of bugs and qualms going on within your head. So that's something that people may see, that you're really fighting to pull yourself together emotionally. And that's how women basically view you. I don't want to keep going on because that's pretty much the gist of this reading. A lot of creativity, as I said before, someone who really is a fighter, someone who does probably a lot of research, somebody who has a lot of emotional intelligence and knowledge, someone who really knows how to cater to others, someone who can sometimes be in a little bit of a gloomy state, you know, not always, obviously, but, you know, you go through periods where you may be in a more introverted or, you know, non-sociable state. That happens, right? Everyone has their struggles. There's also an element of domesticity to you, because I often see the King of Wands being someone who, you know, they like their castle, right? They like being at home. And then there's also a bit of like, you have a little bit of a travel bug too. But I think for the most part with Honorata, I do see them describe themselves often as being a little bit more domestic. So that's what I'm getting from this reading. Very down to earth, very much someone who people feel like they can open up to and talk to. And that is what I have for you, pile number 2. Hey, pile number 3, let's get started on your reading. We have the Hermit. We have the Nine of Wands. Ooh, can't flip the cards. We have the King of Swords. We have Critica. We have the Seven of Cups. And we have Judgment. Okay. Perfect. Let's get these in place. I don't know why I'm struggling with this one. But, so, with the Hermit here and Critica. So what I know about Critica and the Hermit, what they kind of have in common is Critica people can be pretty like quiet, like very chill, laid back to themselves, just kind of like observing. They may not say much. And so that's the kind of impression that a lot of women view you as, just somebody who's just not going to, you know, speak unless they really need to voice their thoughts. Okay. They want to take the time to think things through, or to observe, or to, you know, scope out a situation before they jump into that full force. And that is just how a lot of women are seeing you here, as this person who is very reflective and refined in their thoughts. And then another way that comes kind of like with having that sort of persona is people can perceive you to be very guarded, and that's what we get with this Nine of Wands energy here. Just someone who really believes that you're a person who, well, you don't like to waste your time, first of all. You're not as scared of competition. In fact, you know, you'll definitely embrace it, but it's really just more about like, you know, having a little bit of a, you know, guard up, making sure you're just not, you know, letting anyone in. You don't want anybody to just kind of see you and your vulnerabilities. You're very selective about who you let in to, you know, your world, or to see the true you. And that's something that people can really see that there. Critica and the Nine of Wands, one thing they have in common is the combativeness and the willingness to fight, because Critica is that sign, that nakshatra placement that represents war. In fact, we have Rahu, I believe, in Critica right now, and it was in Critica, obviously, when the war in Ukraine and Russia started. And also, as I've mentioned before, I think last reading, Putin has his moon in Critica. So, you know, Rahu's over his moon right now. So you can see the energies of Critica really taking place, where you have this sort of like forcefulness and this willingness to defend whatever it is that you're trying to defend, or even conquer whatever side of the fence that you decide to lay on. But the general energy is like you're someone who is not someone you want to mess with, really, or like play around with, or, you know, people may feel like, oh, you know, if I talk a lot of mess about this person, you know, I might, you know, get a smackdown. So that's something that a lot of women will view you as. But also, it really does become a lot about defending your point of view and defending your beliefs and what you feel is right. And it's really, you know, even convincing others of your perspective or belief systems, whatever it is. It's just having a strong foundation based off of your experiences and maybe even upbringing in a sense, okay? So that's something that is very much a part of this reading here. We also have a sense of like you've been through a lot of things, because the Nine of Wands is a wounded warrior. So they feel like that you have been, you know, fighting for so long, and maybe you're extremely independent, because a lot of sun rule placements are hyper independent. And Nine of Wands, it doesn't have to be hyper independent, it could just be independent, but the Nine of Wands would indicate you being somebody who is a very independent person. And that's one way that a lot of women are seeing your energy play out in the world. And then we have this King of Swords character coming in, and the King of Swords is very similar to the Hermit in the sense that they're going to choose their words very wisely, and if they're going to make an argument and they're going to make a point, it's going to be well thought out, and it's going to have a lot of layers to it, and they're going to come at things from different angles. So there's definitely a strategic mentality to you that a lot of women will see and pick up on. And it also kind of goes into the fact that like you're not someone also to be messed with, right? Because the King of Swords also has a sword. Critica has a sword known as the knife, more well known as the knife. And someone who may even have a little bit of a temper. It really just depends on the person, but that's something to take in account. But one thing that is here that is very much a part of this whole reading is there's a humorous side to you, which you will see a lot with the King of Swords, because the King of Swords can be known for very witty, for making jokes, play on words, just be somebody who's observant. And Critica people can also be like very playful and, you know, crack jokes with one another as well. They may not want to take things very serious all the time. And so people are really seeing you in that light. They're like, okay, this person knows how to have a good time. They know how to, you know, laugh at themselves. And also, you know, they're someone who is just very smart about, you know, their sense of humor, or just can just be somebody just fun to play around with. And also you come off as somebody who's just very knowledgeable and very skilled. And with these last two cards here, Judgment is pretty obvious for me. They see you as somebody who can be very forgiving. That's usually what I get when it comes to judgment, kind of like describing someone's general personality. There's someone who's just like, you know what, I'm not going to hold on to a grudge. I'm not going to, let things get to me or irk me or, control my feelings in any way. I'm just going to, let it go. Okay. And able to just not hold on to baggage, but to just start a new mindset, a new moment, and to kind of have like this sort of like refresher way of thinking. Like, it's a new dawn, it's a new day, and you're like, the past is the past. I'm going to head on and, look at whatever options I have available to me, which is the Seven of Cups energy here. You're seeing all the potential good things that could happen to you in your life and in the world, and you just really want to be able to immerse yourself in the positive things and the good things. And that's definitely a way that people really, really see you. They feel like that there's a lot of avenues that you can go towards, a lot of places that you can really shine, and a lot of areas that you can shine in, because you just come off as a very wise person in general. And like I said, somebody very skilled, somebody very talented, somebody probably very good with their words, as well as somebody who just doesn't want to live in this constant state of detriment and destruction. And also with the Seven of Cups, you can be a little bit of a foodie here, or this can also mean like, somebody likes to drink, somebody likes to smoke, somebody who likes to recline, likes to relax, likes to have a good time. Seven of Cups is definitely a card I've gotten to represent kind of immersing yourself in those sensory pleasures like that. 100%. And it can also be like, you have you're a daydreamer a little bit, or you have a lot of different ideas that come to you, or, different areas of interest and things that you wish to explore. Like, you have a lot of layers to your personality. You have like kind of like that onion-like personality where there's a new layer and a new layer. And there's also just a lot to you when it comes to having this card here. Okay, so that's something to really, really think about. Somebody who definitely just doesn't want their energy to be drained. Someone who can also be someone who likes to, what's the word that I'm looking for? Who can be maybe a little bit of a romantic. That's something to keep in mind. Not that the other cards are very romantic, but the Seven of Cups alone is a very romantic sense of, a card that just represents that. Just having a very vivid imagination. And also with Critica, you could have somebody who really likes to label and categorize things. I've seen that a lot with sun-ruled placements. Like, they really want to be like, this is that type of person, and this is that type of thing, and this is that type of subject. And I've mentioned this person before. What is his name? The guy who wrote The Art of War or The Art of Seduction. You can see he has these labels and these types of personalities that he has listed for, this is this tactic, and this is what this is called, and this is what this seduction is called, and these are the 7 things for this. And so you see how they really like to categorize information and thoughts and different people and subjects. That's something that a lot of Critica people are like, and so they may feel like you have a very formatted way of thinking about things that helps you move around in the world and to be effective. And that's something to keep in mind with how women really view you. They really do see you as a leader and as somebody who really can be very ferocious, if that's the word I want to use for that, and somebody who can also maybe sometimes be very political. It really depends. These cards aren't all very political, but Critica itself can be a very political card going on here. But whatever the case may be, definitely someone who, likes to be in a position of authority, likes to, give information to others, likes to do a lot of learning, and likes to share ideas. That's something that's very, very important. And to, you know, have a good concept of, you know, the people around them, being able to see everything that is out there. Okay, so a lot of mental activity going on with this pile. So that is how women view you, pile number 3, and I will see you next time. Hey, pile number 4, let's get started on your reading. We have the High Priestess, the Page of Pentacles, the 7 of Swords, the 8 of Swords, the Queen of Swords, and Ashwini. So, interesting pile of cards here. What I'm gathering right away is that women can kind of view you to be a little bit more shy or reserved, just because we have the High Priestess and the 8 of Swords here, letting me know that you don't always say what you think or what's on your mind, maybe for fear of judgment, or maybe fear that someone may misunderstand you, or maybe that you'll be criticized. Either way, that's something that I can get with these 2 cards right away. But people do feel like that your words do add value to the conversation, so they actually would probably really like if you spoke up more and spoke your mind and, you know, said that what you were thinking. Maybe you don't feel like you always have room to completely express yourself, you know, that's normal in our society, but the people or the women around you feel like that they would really just like to hear more what you have to say, because, you know, it's some way or another it may resonate with them, or they may feel like they're learning something. Because when we have the Queen of Swords here, that's obviously representative of a very intelligent, smart, witty, and very much so respectable woman. And she's always got something wise to say, or at least intelligent to say, if, you know, if she's using her words for good. Obviously, if we have other types of Queen of Swords who can be manipulative, but in a positive light, which I believe this is somebody who really does give a lot of good information and likes to educate other people and likes to uplift others around them, usually with knowledge and information, like this is how you do this, or this is how this situation plays out, or these are these type of people, and like very, very much intelligent. It doesn't have to be in social settings. It could just be like job wise. If you want this type of job, do this, or whatever subject or field. They feel like you're an educated or a smart person who has a lot of good things to say. Another thing we have here is with Ashwini. Now, Ashwini is interesting because it's a Ketu rule placement, and Ketu rule placements can kind of be like Rahuian rule placements, where they can be prone to lying, or they can be prone to being very, very honest. And because we have this Queen of Swords here, I'm going to go with the more honest aspect of Ashwini, where they're just so blatantly upfront and forcefully honest that sometimes it can put people off. Obviously, we have other Ashwini types, like I think Amber Heard is Ashwini, right? And she's on trial for defamation. So you have that type where they can tell a lot of lies, or lies that are so detrimental. The jury's not out on that, but there have been some things that she said that have been proven to be lies. But basically, where certain lies could be so detrimental that they are affecting people around them. But I think you guys are the other type of Ashwini, where you're very blunt and you're very honest. And so you realize in the past that you may have not had the best response to what you have said, with the 6 of Swords energy going on here next to this Page of Pentacles. That lets me know that, you know, people have not always been responding to what you've said in the positive light. And it's hard for you to, you know, shake off the past and the responses and the judgment that you've gotten in the past, and, you know, open up a new door where you feel free to be yourself, because you're worried about that criticism and you're worried about that negative feedback. The women around you kind of feel like you shouldn't worry so much about it and just be free to be yourself and, you know, be relaxed, because they get this very much so like down to earth, very relatable, very open type of spirit. They just get a good vibe from you in general. especially with this Page of Pentacles. That's someone who really likes to, I always get the Page of Pentacles to like try new things or practicing a hobby or skill, or you know, expressing yourself through music or how you dress. And they just kind of feel like you may have a very expressive way on how you present yourself. Maybe you wear your favorite band t-shirts, or maybe you're someone who's just very colorful about, you know, your hair or your nails or something like that. But they're very expressive in their appearance, and that's another way people view you. And so they see this creative aspect to you and how you present yourself, and your unusual style of presentation or communication, and they're kind of intrigued in a way. Okay, I think that's mainly the central focus of being able to open up more, because they feel like, you know, you could potentially have a lot in common. Okay, because they feel like you have a appreciation for life itself and the things that it has to offer. And then also with Ashwini, there's a lot of different aspects to this nakshatra where they can be very brave, and they can be very much so like go-getters. I mean, like crazy go-getters. Like they don't sleep until they get what they want. So I've seen a lot of Ashwini people and Ketu people in general suffer from insomnia. So what a lot of people see is that you have a lot of energy to keep going, a lot of vitality within you, a lot of drive, a lot of, what's the word? Just a general, you know, I don't know, excitability about what it is that you want to present in the world. And then also the High Priestess does indicate a level of spirituality, and obviously the Ketu ruled nakshatras like Ashwini, Ketu, and Mula are spiritual nakshatras. Ketu itself represents spirituality. So a lot of women view you as a very spiritual person, maybe even a person with a lot of spiritual knowledge yourself, someone who has a higher belief system. Even the Queen of Swords, you can see she is here above the clouds, and you can see the little angel figure above her, on her chair, I should say, not above her chair, which would indicate her having some belief in a higher power, a higher being, which a lot of people can see within you. People can also feel like maybe you are very intuitive or like instinctual, and someone who just in general is a very down-to-earth, friendly person. And that's how women are ultimately viewing you. Someone who is very, very youthful, or at least you look very young for your age, because the Queen of Swords is a card of a woman I usually get for, she's older, but she kind of has like a more like baby-like face, or like people will perceive her to be a lot younger than she is. And so that's probably a lot of ways that women are viewing you and perceiving you to be. And I don't know if you're currently in a rocky situation, but with the Six of Swords here being like in this reverse position, or at least being kind of like irritated by this Page of Swords here, it could indicate just you going through a tough time right now. And I don't know if that's just, you know, mentally, or if you have a lot of things going on, or you have a lot of personal demons or etc. that you may need to battle. But whatever the case may be, people may feel like you are in a very tight spot right now, or you're in a spot where you feel like you may not have as many options as you would like to have. Okay, so that's something that is being perceived by a lot of women around you. Ultimately, people just find you to, like I said, to be a very respectable woman, someone who is, like I said, very open, very friendly, can be very shy, reserved, a lot of spiritual knowledges, etc. Like these are the basics of what these cards are trying to communicate to me. So I hope you enjoyed the reading, pile number 4. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Astro_Tarot Research, and I will see you next time. Au revoir. Hey, pile number 5, let's get started on your reading. We have the Ace of Wands, the 3 of Pentacles, the 6 of Cups, the Queen of Cups, the 10 of Pentacles, and Universo. All right, so how women view you. Well, I mean, overall, we have two cards that kind of like embody sort of work. So I don't know if these are women that you work with or just, you know, casual women that you meet. But overall, women feel like, at least the ones that you work with together, they feel like that you are very much like a team player, that you're very much somebody who works well with others, just somebody really great that they can easily get along with, maybe even somebody who's very skilled, just a really great like colleague or even friend in that case. And then people who may not know you as well, they just kind of see you as somebody who really gets along well with others, just having a very good personality and demeanor, which kind of makes sense when we have this Universo card. I really get that card, Jupiterian people, they really like make a lot of good connections. It seems like people read their energy as being like very, what's the word for it? Non-threatening. That was like one of the words that came up a lot for Jupiterian people in general. And I'm trying to remember the other word that came up frequently for them, like non-accusatory. Okay, right? So non-threatening, non-accusatory. That's the way a lot of people will describe Jupiterian energy. And so that is the reason why people will kind of really be drawn into you, which makes sense because Jupiterian people don't usually like outwardly judge people. Okay, they're not like outwardly like, why did you do that? Da, 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 da. They're kind of just like more of a quiet kind of judgment. It kind of reminds me of like Kris Jenner, and remember all of the Kardashians except for Rob were sitting around the table when Kris said, I'm gonna buy Rob a house, and they're like, why would you buy Rob a house? Da, 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 da. And then she popped off, right? And she kind of read them all for filth, and she was like, you know, I put up with all of your stuff all over the years. Kim, you got married for like a month and that was weird, and I've supported you all. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the way Jupiterian people are. They live quietly, you know, support people even in their wrong decisions and the weird things that they go through. They're just kind of like very supportive. And they're not going to like outwardly just say, well, you shouldn't have got married because da 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 da. Okay, right? Now, if you pick at them and start, you know, picking at things that they care about, then yeah, of course, they're going to speak their mind, right? So that's how people are viewing you. They view you as this very like non-judgmental character, but also somebody who is generally very passionate about their work and what they do, or just even passionate about like meeting people, getting out there, socializing, because, you know, Ace of Wands and the Three of Pentacles can be like, oh, this person really likes to network and likes to really make friends and likes to just be in conversation, be a part of a group, which is also a very Universo thing. A lot of Universo people really very much so like being a part of a group. I think at some periods in their life, they may feel like they're a loner or they're solo, but ultimately, all Jupiterian people really want to be a part of some sort of group. That's just generally where Jupiterian people are generally the happiest, I've noticed, okay? So that's something to keep in mind, but it really is just about having a good communication with other people and taking the time to really support one another. So other women see you as very supportive, very encouraging, very much somebody who they feel like really listens to them and their needs, or even just listens to them and their feelings. It reminds me of this video I saw where it was like, you know how some people, they just kind of want to rant and then they want to have somebody listen to their feelings and they don't want somebody to give them feedback, versus other people, when they talk about their problems, they want more solutions, right? So it depends on the person. This is letting me know that you're the type who just kind of want to that listens into people's problems and things that they might be going through and situations in their life. And you would only probably provide solutions if they really asked for it or really requested it. But for the most part, you have a really good listening ear. Other things that we have going on for you is being somebody who is very much like having a lot of new ideas, someone who isn't afraid to switch up their routine, because we have this 10 of Pentacles, and that's about endings, and then the Ace of Wands about beginnings. So that's another thing. Somebody who really likes to, keep their responsibilities light in a way, who prefers to delegate their work to other people. For them, it seems like that you're someone who really has a lot of support and good family or just friends around you. And then also, I think Punavarsu is, I don't know what it's called, but it's something to do with like wealth. This says wealthy again, visible, infinity. But I did do like a study on like wealth, and Punavarsu was one of the sun placements that was like very popular for billionaires. A star of renewal, so like kind of like doing things over and over again, like rejuvenation, etc., like that. And so because wealth has come up twice, they can see you as somebody being like very blessed financially, or even just blessed in having a lot of friends and family and support. That's another way that these cards could be reading. But people generally think that you are somebody who is well off and somebody who is very comfortable in their lifestyle and how they live. And then also there's an element of their feeling like that you are somebody who plans for the future and long term, and that you make decisions based off of where you expect to be and a certain amount of time, like maybe 10 years from now, 20 years from now. Like they see you're working towards more long-term goals, and you have more long-term thinking ability. I'm trying to think of anything else that's important for this reason. It's just representing that you're somebody who enjoys their comforts, who can possibly enjoy a lot of luxury, who is very concerned about, their family, and always thinking in terms of a community or a higher culture, because I do see a lot of Punavarsu people or Jupiterian people in general always thinking about like, how can I uplift the culture? How can I uplift my community? How can I, help other people around me? How can I bring other people into positions of success and status? It's about uplifting not only yourself, but other people. And so I do see a lot of women view you as that person who naturally uplifts other people. And then also you have a lot of general emotional maturity and intelligence regarding that area, as well as you're just somebody who really people feel like they could come to for some really great advice. That's what I see here when I have all of these cards coming together. People just generally feel like there's a sense of like motherliness to you. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but it's definitely a sense of feeling like you treat people like with respect and decency, and almost like their family, especially your close friends and people that you really care about. People just feel that sense of feeling at home with you. Okay? So that is what I'm really picking up from this reading, pile number 5. There's really no need to expand. Like these are all like really positive traits that people are really getting from you. Just really a sense of being like responsible in your career, being somebody easy to talk to, somebody very sweet and kind and non-judgmental. And then we have, like I said, everything mentioned before with being very passionate, being someone who likes to try new ideas, somebody who has like a lot of emotional maturity, someone who can also just be very financially well off and have a very comfortable lifestyle. At least that's how they're viewing you. And somebody who really, really works well with others. And they really do feel like that you are somebody who just, maybe has it all, or you're feeling very complete within your life, and you're happy with where you are. That's where women view you. Okay. very beautiful as well in terms of that. So that is what I have for you, and I will see you guys next time. Au revoir.